Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Mindy here and I hope you are doing well. I've been thinking lately of doing some form of a gourmand series where I could hone in on one single note and fragrances that I have in my collection or that I've been sampling that have that note. There's so many different notes that we could play with. There's chocolate, there's vanilla, bourbon vanilla, praline, hazelnut, which I've done before, black currant, the list goes on and on and on. I thought today it would really be fun to hone in on some fragrances that have a cherry note because I've been asked for this in the past and I do like cherry fragrances and I have a lot of fun perfumes here. So if that interests you, please stay tuned and I'll jump right in. The first perfume that I have here today is Irresistible Delicieuse by the house of Givenchy. This is a very sweet, almost edible type gourmand. This perfume is not one for those people who are not into sweet fragrances, but this is a very, very nice scent. There are a lot of beautiful notes in here, very sweet notes in here. At the top you have French pastries and cherry. In the mid you have rose and orange blossom. In the base you have caramel, bitter almond, vanilla, and orris root. This scent has a really nice blend of sweet, almond, really nice fruitiness from that cherry. There's vanilla in here as well, and you can kind of pick up the caramel note here. I definitely pick up orange blossom as well, so if orange blossom is not your favorite floral note, you may not like this one, but if you do like those notes, you're really probably going to enjoy this fragrance. Another thing I like about this one is just the bottle. I don't talk about bottles all that much here on my channel. I'm always honed in on the scent, but I do like the bottle of this one. It's textured on two sides, and then on the front, it's just kind of a smooth glass, and I do find this bottle to be really, really nice. Overall, I find this to be a nice scent, but it's not one I reach for a ton. It tends to sit in the back of my perfume display because I have a couple other fragrances that I'm familiar with, quite similar to this one. The first that comes to mind is Girl of Now by Elie Saab. That one has the nuttiness, the sweetness that I find in here. Although I don't have a full bottle of that one, I am fairly familiar with that scent profile. The other one that comes to mind is Livia Belle Intense by the house of Lancome. I absolutely adore this fragrance, and I think the scent profiles of both of these are fairly similar. They're different in some ways. This fragrance has hazelnut, it has whipped cream, and my personal opinion is the composition of Livia Belle Intense is just a little bit better. I love this perfume, and because of those notes, hazelnut, whipped cream, and a lot of the other notes in this fragrance, I just find it to be more well-rounded, more balanced, gives me a little bit more of a balanced gourmand scent than I get in this one, where it's really quite sweet and sometimes a little bit sickly sweet to my nose. So while I do like this fragrance, in my collection, it tends to live in Livia Belle Intense's shadow, sadly, so I will reach for this perfume when I'm craving something in this vein. This is Irresistible Delicieuse by the house of Givenchy. Next up is arguably one of the most popular cherry fragrances in the fragrance community. This is Lost Cherry by the house of Tom Ford. This is a beautifully done, boozy, nutty cherry perfume. This is one that is quite unique, and while it's been duped, it's been cloned, there are good alternatives to this one. I will say I do find it to be one of a kind. This has just exquisite gourmand notes. It has sour cherry, bitter almond, and liqueur in the top. In the mid is sour cherry, there's plum, Turkish rose, and jasmine sambac. In the base is tonka bean, vanilla, Peru balsam, cinnamon, there's benzoin, sandalwood, cedar, cloves, vetiver, and patchouli. I definitely pick up that cinnamon in here. It gives it a spicy cherry profile. It gives it a little bit of coziness and definitely a little bit of warmth. I really enjoy this scent profile. I think it's an amazing scent, and I have gone back and forth so many times on whether to bring a full bottle into my collection. I've actually gone so far as going to the cosmetics company to buy it. They didn't have it here locally at our cosmetics company store the day I went. So I do have the Dua clone. This is Pop Cherry. I like this. I think it's a nice alternative. It's very cherry centric. It might have a little bit less of the booziness that you get here, but this is good. For me, I really think I'm gonna want Lost Cherry in my collection at some point in time. It's the performance that I'm really struggling with because I don't feel like the performance on this is all that great. It lasts about 3 or 4 hours for me, and it does tone down quite a bit within that 3 to 4 hour time frame. So I'm just not sure if it's worth the full bottle price, but I love the scent. If you are a cherry lover, if you like boozy scents, if you like a little bit of cinnamon spice, if you like a little bit of nuttiness in your perfumes, this is an amazing one to check out, and I don't think you can go wrong with this perfume outside of the longevity and the performance that I mentioned before. Again, this is Lost Cherry by the House of Tom Ford. The next cherry fragrance that I have here is a popular one. This is Scandale by Night by the House of Jean Paul Gaultier. This is one that I go back and forth on quite a bit. I feel like I like it a lot at times, and at other times I just don't care for it. I really want to land the plane on how I feel here because I can't seem to make up my mind on it. When I first spray it on my skin, it has sort of a medicinal vibe to it, almost like a cherry cough syrup, and I'm not crazy about that part of this fragrance. Soon after it dries into the skin, that does dissipate a little bit, and this becomes more of a cherry, honeyed, white floral type fragrance in my opinion. Now because of that honey note, this one can be a little bit dense, it can be a little bit heavy, it's almost a little bit syrupy to my nose. But this one is also very alluring. It's intoxicating. I feel like this has a little bit of a seductive quality because of the honey, the florals in here, and the way they blend with the cherry note. So going back to what I said a little bit earlier, there are moments where I like this one, there are moments where I don't care for it a lot, and probably the most telling indicator is the fact that I don't reach for this fragrance a lot. When I first got it, I was wearing it, I wore it a few times in 1 week, and then I kind of phased out because I have other Gourmand fragrances that I prefer to wear to this one. I would probably give it at this point in time around a 6.5 out of 10, but I'm not sure I'll keep this one in my collection. While it's nice, it's seductive, it's intoxicating, I just am not sure that I'll wear it enough in the future to justify having it in my collection. Again, this is Scandale by Night by the House of Jean Paul Gaultier. Okay, next up is yet another popular cherry fragrance in the fragrance community. This is Rouge Smoking by the House of BDK. I have to be totally honest with you that I have never felt compelled, after playing with this fragrance multiple times, to buy a full bottle. I am just now realizing that maybe this is one that I have to have in my collection. This has a smoky vanilla scent profile with a little bit of cherry there, but it's not overpowering cherry. If you're looking for more of a cherry presence, some of these other perfumes that I'm talking about today might be better for you, but I really like the way it is done here. And again, I'm really feeling compelled to move forward with a full bottle of this one because it is smelling really nice today as my scent of the day. My hesitancy on this one in the past has been that it gives me a little bit of a cola or root beer vibe, and I wasn't sure if I liked that. Today I'm picking up more of the smokiness, more of the vanilla that I'm really starting to enjoy in this perfume. I'm really starting to fall for this fragrance, so I wouldn't be surprised if I brought it into my collection in the future. I'm gonna play with it a little bit more over the next couple weeks and really gauge if it needs to be in my collection, but I do think I may have misjudged this one in the past. I will say too that I have bought the Dua version of this fragrance. This is called Be in Love by Dua. And while I do like the Dua brand, I don't think that the Dua clone really does this fragrance justice. I don't get the same level of smokiness. I don't get the same level of character in this perfume. I just think it's a little bit more of a flat version of this. And if you're looking to buy something in this vein, I would definitely recommend going with the original perfume. I've noticed in the past that this was available on Aura Fragrance's website. That's where I purchased my other BDK perfumes as well, and they were just under $100. I don't know if they still offer that. I noticed it was out of stock today when I looked, but certainly one that I will consider looking around and seeing if I can purchase it at an affordable price. This is Rouge Smoking by the house of BDK. The last fragrance that I have here with a cherry note in it is Seductive Red by the house of Guess. This is an EDT, and this is new to my collection. I do have a little bit of a saga with this perfume. I purchased the fragrance mist back in the October or November time frame, brought it into my collection. It was super affordable at around $10, but I really couldn't get much projection or any sort of performance out of it, which can be a little bit typical of a fragrance mist. So that made me feel compelled to buy a full bottle of this perfume, and I did wait until it was available at a much more affordable price point. This was only $16 or so a very low risk blind buy. This to me is quite similar to Cloud. It's quite similar to Cloud Intense by Ariana Grande. It could easily be a flanker of those perfumes, but I find this to be a great standalone fragrance. I am really enjoying the addition of cherry in this perfume, and I can pick it up. I find this fragrance to be such an easy wear type perfume. Some of the other cherry fragrances that I spoke about today are dense, they're rich, they're very, very sweet, whereas this one is more on the airy side. It's a little bit more of a cherry fresh type fragrance, but not in the sense that an air freshener would be, where it's a little too fresh, if that makes sense. I think this one would be really nice in the spring and the summer months as it starts to warm up. I do think I'd want to reach for this perfume in those seasons. I consider this fragrance to be about a 7.5 out of 10. I could almost give it an 8 out of 10 because it is affordable, and I really, really like that about it. Definitely one that I think people should try if you do like Cloud and you didn't buy it for whatever reason, or if you like something light, easygoing, inoffensive, overall crowd-pleasing. This would be a great option. This is Seductive Red by the house of Guess. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I truly appreciate you. If you enjoyed this video on cherry fragrances that I have in my collection or that I've been playing with, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week. I hope you have a lot to be grateful and thankful for. Until next time, I'll see you soon.